higher than a bench. So like table in your house, desk, high up bed, box in the gym, a stretching table, that's the point you want to start at. Tim's going to lie down from there. Which knee's bad? Left?
Yeah.
So, well, for the sake of time, we're going to beat up on your left knee. That's good. I don't have to move so many people around. You guys might want to come this way. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to scoop one leg up, and assuming he's on that table and his butt's halfway off the table, I won't have to adjust him. If he isn't, I'm going to yank him down a little bit or have him adjust. Good on that? Okay. Once I put him in this position, his leg weighs a ton, all right? If you're a smaller person or you don't have a lot of upper body strength, move a table like this up against the wall, because what's weighing a ton is pulling his leg this way. If you put a wall here, it takes no work to do this test. Good on that? So especially if you're like a 36-pound person and you're testing some 300-pounder, use a wall.
Wait, a wall on like where you're sitting?
Yeah, literally roll him, hop up. Make life easy. Take that and anchor it into that far wall for me. So move that trash can right behind you. So I went in now just cheat. So take your table or whatever you're stretching on and make it easy. Good. Slide up next to the wall, have your butt hanging off. Close it, right? So now I don't have to do almost any work, because the wall is keeping all the pressure. The pressure in. I put him up against me, he'd have to weigh 10,000 pounds to push me over, right? It's really hard for him. He's not pushing against us, so it'd be hard to be too weak to hold the leg up. All right, once we get up, we want to check that the net leg is about 90. At about 90, we'd like his back flat. If he's not flat, we'll come up a little bit more to try to get him flat. If we're still not flat, he is now, I would coach him on flattening his back out. How do we get a flat back position? We can, so we can suck our gut in, turn on our low abs, flex our glutes a little bit. We can literally just shove this up more if we really had to, but we don't want to go up too far. We can press this hip flexor. When we go to test it, it's going to be kind of irritated. Good on that? So start at 90, a little bit more if you need to. Now you're going to look at this leg. There's one major pass on this, and then there's a bunch of other things this leg can tell you. So the first pass is, we're looking at the hip flexors, all right, so up here. We're looking at the top of Tim's knee, and you're literally going to draw a line in space, and I'm going to do it as straight as I can, backwards. Is that above or below the surface he's laying on? Below, all right? And if you had a really thick table, make sure you use the top, because that's where his butt cheek is, right? If it's below the top of the table, right, we call that a good thigh angle. That's a pass for the hip flexor test. So is this a pass? Yeah. Yes. Is that a pass?
No.
Is that a pass? You may see that stuff. All right, good, relax. You can also, when you set someone in a position, again, people have trouble relaxing. Tim's doing a fine job of it, but give them a poke and see, like push a little and see. If they're flexing against it, you got to get them to relax to fairly test it. So we've passed hip flexor, right? Second thing to look at, and this one is a little bit harder to get used to doing. Can you just hold that leg for me? Just grab your arm and hold it up. Yeah. So you're going to look at the angle of the shin. If there was like a plum that went straight down here, so like a string with a heavy weight on it, it dropped right down the knee. If you were to come out about 2-3 inches, all right, so about that much, that front of the shin should be no further than that 2 to 3 inches for a pass. So Tim is right on that cutoff point of passing. Does that make sense? So I'm looking again at the knee. I'll make it easy for everybody. The foot's out in front, we know it's a fail. Foot's back behind, it's a pass. If it's a straight shin, or within about 2.5, 3 inches, we consider it a pass.
Even if the knee is below?
Yeah. Yeah. 2 separate tests. Knee below is hip flexor. Everybody got that?
Yeah.
Hip flexor is done now. We're done with hip flexor. Clear? There's 3 more things you can assess in this position. This part we're looking at now is the quad. It's extra important if you had someone who had a lot of mass that blocked it, or a knee injury and couldn't get into that compressive stretch. You need a break? That's all right. So just sit on the end of the table. Doesn't matter. All right. So that angle right there, right, is a pretty good angle, right? It's close to flat. It's within 3 inches of the front of the kneecap. Does that make sense? So it would be what we'd call a pass, but there's no pass for quad on this. So don't write F for hip flexor and P for pass for quad. This is just so you know, a secondary test for quad. Is his quad relatively flexible? Yeah, it's pretty good. All right. So we saw near the butt, he was about 3 fingers off. Here, he's just at the far edge of the good. That sounds about right, right? 2 more things you can tell. If he's presenting his groin, meaning if his leg is rotated out like that and it's showing a lot of groin, it generally indicates very tight glutes, right? Because the glutes are external rotators, and this is external rotation of the hip. So if the glutes are tight, he's naturally going to lay in that position, showing you more of the groin than the top of the leg. It's not a pass-fail test. It's just some more information. Good on that? The last thing you can tell is the IT band, all right? So really, there's tensor fascia latae, small muscle here, glute. They come down together and form this IT band anchoring below the knee. If that's really tight, you'll know, because instead of a straight line, shoulder, hip, knee, he'll look like this out to the side. And someone who's really tight will look like, you know, like that. So you can have 2 or 3 faults, where you might have one and not the others. Thanks for volunteering. This one